who'd like to speak? If you would please make sure you sign up and leave your name and so we can contact you and get back to you more information.
My name is Arthur Richard. My family and I have lived in Lago for 30 years. I've served until recently as the Emergency Management Assistant Coordinator, and I'm currently on the Community Emergency Response Team, the Red Cross, serving as the Disaster Service Manager and Certified Shelter Manager. And I am proud to represent our city on many occasions to the City Council, Council of Cities, OnStar, Maycap, Ready Here, Harris, Red Cross, and others in meetings and training sessions. I would respectfully ask the City Council that please put on the agenda the approval of the Secret Volunteer Fire Department's contract, and here's why. El Lago has a population of 2,774 persons, 1,100 homes, with 567 persons over the age of 60. When we call with a medical emergency, we need help now. The Secret Volunteer Fire Department response time is 3 to 4 minutes. With Pasadena only responding to fire, we would be at the mercy of the next available ambulance. That time varies around 17 minutes. Time for us old ones is critical. Budget be damned. It's going to mean lost lives unless we do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Anybody else?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Julie Barbet. I live at 13113 Color Drive. Tonight I want to state for the record that I had and still have great concerns about the letter I received from Mayor Brink from March 7th. I replied to the Council and the Mayor with a letter in which I explained my concerns. I really appreciated that the Mayor took the time to meet me and discuss my concerns. He explained his context. But we also left the meeting knowing we agreed to disagree on some items. I also want to thank Councilman Skelton and Mahalak for taking the time to responding me and taking the time to individually to discuss the issues. On page 1 of the letter, the Mayor forgets to thank the residents of El Lago who have been persistent in monitoring and reporting of flooding issues to both WCID 50 and the City, and without whom the process of resolving the issue would not even have started. The Mayor also forgets to mention that it was a court order that made the ball roll to remove the bulkhead. So if that would be corrected, that would be nice. On page 2, the Mayor is publicly discrediting 2 longtime citizens of El Lago, because one is also running for council and the Mayor is using public funds to distribute this letter. I think it's unethical. I'm not a lawyer, but this is so close to unethical that it is a great concern to me. Although the Mayor says he's not on Nextdoor, page 2 is a reaction to a discussion and a poll on Nextdoor. That's contradicting, and I wonder, will the Mayor use my tax dollars every time there's a discussion on Nextdoor that he disagrees with? Lastly, I have some comments on the latest survey about the water district, especially in regards to the question asking our opinion about dissolving the water district and including this into the city government. But how would I be able to answer that question? I have no clue what the process is, what the implications are, and consequences. So that question was, in my point of view, inappropriate. It's too complex to just stay in a poll like that and ask the citizens to comment. I wish I could persuade the Mayor to apologize to Darren and Robbie and about the way he handled their conflict. I tried. And I sure wish they all could hash it out over a beer instead of using official letters and my money. I thought that was the way things were done in a small town like this. Thank you.
Thank you, El Lago City Council, for allowing me to speak today. My name is Jennifer Crandall, and I've lived in El Lago for 2 years. I would like to express my concerns about the nature of communications that I received from the City of El Lago and WCID 50, which appear more politically motivated than sensible governing. As a citizen who loves El Lago and wants what's best for this community, I find the communications from the city regarding the removal of the bulkhead to be highly inappropriate and in jeopardy of violating municipal ethics codes. Additionally, this was followed by an email from WCID 50, which also had a politically motivated tone. My question is, why are either one of them patting themselves on the back for doing the jobs that they were elected to do? If anyone should get the credit for the removal of the bulkhead, it should be the citizens of El Lago, who waited in floodwaters to inspect drainage, my neighbor Ralph. Citizens who also filled El Lago City Council and WCID meetings and made their voices heard. So if you, Mayor Briggs, wants to thank someone, thank them. And while you're at it, maybe you should also apologize to these same citizens and to the council for being completely absent during one of the worst disasters to hit our city. While citizens were being rescued from their homes and their houses were being flooded, and the El Lago City Council was bearing the brunt of some rightfully upset citizens, you were gone. The majority of El Lago citizens voted for you to lead the city, and that's exactly what you should have been here doing. It is my hope in the future that our elected officials more diligently listen to the concerns of the El Lago citizens rather than waste time seeking credit for the business of governing. In part 2 of the letter I received from the city discussing the Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department contract, Mayor Briggs goes on to disparage former Mayor Robert White and candidate for Council Position 3 Darren Clark for spreading misinformation on social media, when in all actuality, they were posting facts on 2 different options. Through FOIA requests that Mr. Greenlee submitted, we now know the mayor has been negotiating with Pasadena Fire Department as far back as September 2017 and sought a vote by the City Council in January of 2018. Had it not been for former Mayor White and Darren Clark letting the community know that the vote was occurring, the community would not have had a chance to have their voices heard. Thank you to Councilwoman Ann Vernon and Councilman Jeff Mahalik for listening to the citizens of El Lago and putting a stop to the vote. Had the change occurred, it would have been detrimental to all El Lago citizens, but especially to the seniors in our community, where a minute in EMS response time can make all the difference in the world. It is now my understanding that Mayor Briggs has appointed a committee to research both options and decide on which would be best for the city of El Lago. Again, this reconsideration appears to be motivated by the backlash from the citizens of El Lago. I respectfully request that if this very political maneuvering is going to continue, that the citizens of El Lago demand transparency and accountability, if necessary by an appointment of a commission to investigate the questionable politics and possible ethics violations. Thank you.
Check register. There was a payment to Gardner went in at around $5,000 in January. Can you tell us if that was to review the contracts with Pasadena? And then further, my second point is that, based on the actions of the mayor, and I think that the agenda items that were added tonight, the proposed letter for city council should be considered and signed by each councilman. Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me. I'm a little nervous. I apologize. I talk in front of people. So, it is now. Thanks, that helped. I have a little problem.
Tell me your name, Carson.
My name is Chris Watts.
Thank you.
Um,
And where you live?
I live at 322 Biscayne.
Thank you.
Okay. I received a citation for my pet, who happens to be a 1-pound chicken. And I would just like to read off what I put on next door last night when I realized that it was addressed, and I'd like to address this to y'all. I didn't bring my glasses. I'm the rooster. I looked at the city of El Lago's laws, and it didn't say anything about foul. It's been found out now, very deep in the bylaws, thanks to a complaint made at El Lago's finest, Mr. Savage, Officer Savage, I've spoken with my immediate neighbors and they don't have a problem with me. Actually, I've been told it's kind of nice to hear. Now, yes, he's noisy, I won't deny this, but if someone would have said something to me, I could have stopped him from growing and made all happy. Now I'm instructed to get rid of my 1-pound pet. My heart is broken, it is just almost like a last call. My yard doesn't smell like poop, can't say that for others. My pets are all vaccinated. They don't leave my yard or climb over fences to poop or destroy other people's property. Yes, it's weird to some to have a pet chicken, but I think it's weird for other people in this neighborhood to have 7 cats that they let roam, 15 plus homing pigeons that poop every day in my yard and on my things, or the guy that has snakes in his home for pets. I hear cats all day and night fighting. I hear dogs that constantly bark and yell, but that's all okay. As well as the city and the people allowing a peacock to run the city for its life, almost like a mascot, even using the tree in my backyard to roost. Very noisy bird, but that was okay. I said tomorrow at city council, I'll beg to keep my pet. I will promise to quiet down. I'm sure they won't agree, but I'm going to try. I'm sorry for any discomfort this has caused to anyone. I just thought if they bothered some of my neighbors in this great little city, they would come talk to me. I was wrong. Anyone would blah, blah, blah. This bird is a pet. I didn't know that this probably would upset people. And I figured if it did, because I did ask my immediate neighbors, and I figured if it did, that somebody would say something. And I found out that there is a device, and it's a stock drone that I can purchase for the unbelievable price of $22. And it actually silences the chicken mostly, but doesn't allow it to fully grow. I asked the city council to please allow me to keep my pet. And guarantee that if it causes a problem with any other neighbors, I'll try to figure out how to bring home. Thank you all.
Sharon Clark, 418 Double Brook. I feel like I need to just say that I found that letter slanderous, beneath the office of the mayor, and when I found out through talking to council members that they didn't even know about it, it was, we don't need that in this city. If you've got a problem with me, come talk to me. We've met a couple times. I did have to stand you up once because of the dire emergency. When I told you that, you told me not to waste your time. But let's get off of that and let's talk about what's really pressing. My mom was recently in a wheelchair, and our infrastructure is in bad shape. Sidewalks are terrible. And I've been talking about sidewalks coming into council meetings for now 2 years. And we've got money in coffers to pay for it, but we're just rolling it over. So we need to address that because we do have handicapped people in the city. And we got people that are not using the sidewalks, but they're using the streets. And then that puts them in danger. The other thing is we're less than 80 days away from hurricane season. And the meteorologists are predicting that it will be as bad, if not worse, due to the studies that they've done. And we haven't heard a plan of what we're going to do. We've been working on flood mitigation and telephone poles, and that's great. But we also need to work on, I've been asking for a plan and a lessons learned from council on Harvey so that we can mitigate that risk. And I'm doing my research with a thing called storm rating certified cities to do in counties. And Harris County is storm rating certified. and so is LaPorte. When they bring in the meteorologists, they bring in county officials, as well as people from the emergency management centers, and they analyze and find where the gaps are in our city, and then they'll recommend changes, and then you can become storm-ready certified. And I think that'd be something great for the council to look into, because we need to do better, and we can. And the final thing is mosquito spraying. I was out talking to neighbors, and they're starting to come out and bite me. And we have been talking about that. It actually got stopped back in June, and then the citizens, we came up and spoke about it, and he re-implemented it, and we were promised a town hall. And with different people that are experts, I don't know, I think they're called entomologists, bug experts, as well as the pros and cons of spraying. And guys, we need to know where we're at with that. We are spraying, I hope this year. We haven't heard, but we were promised a town hall, and we've been promised several town halls, we haven't had it. So please take these into consideration. These are very pressing issues that matter a lot more than a disagreement between you and I. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Judy Arnold. I live at 815 Woodland Drive. I've lived in El Lago for 45 years. I love my neighborhood. I just want to say that I'm very sad. All the vicious slander and everything that's going on in this neighborhood. I had to get off of next door. Some of the things that I've read, I can't even believe it's my city. I thought we were supposed to work together for our city. And I think several people need apologies. When someone refers to our mayor on next door as the rich guy and all the things that have been said, I think that other apologies are deserved. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Nygaard, I live at 443 Shadow Creek. I had a few comments already about this letter, and I emailed y'all the letter. I hope you take it under consideration. I think it transgresses many, many things that we should not see in our city. I think the mayor spending $461 of the citizens' funds on that letter there's a problem with that. I hate to know how many pool parties we can have for the kids or do other things around here rather than you promoting political agendas. We know it's a political season around here when we have communication from the mayor and we have surveys. We saw it last year. Did we have any communication or surveys between the election seasons? I'm really upset with this. You have my email. We need to do something about it. And really, honestly, Mayor, next time you send something out, send it out double-sided instead of single-sided if you're really financially responsible. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank you all. Okay, so we're going to move on to Chief Savage. Item 7.
No, I don't go around looking for chicken. She asked me if I wanted to pet the thing. And I said no, because then I'll feel bad. We did receive a complaint, so I went out there and I didn't give you a citation, it's a red tag.
I mean, I've read that. My apologies.
That's okay. I'll give you some time. And then I told you too, to come to council, see if they'll change it.
I'm here. He did things.
All right. I wanted to, I guess, William, you put in your packet the call for service report for last month. It's pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. And also, since this report, we had a major offense, some house was burglarized in the 1700 block of West Central. did put it on next door to alert the neighborhood to keep a sharp lookout. This was a daytime burglary, occurred just a little bit after 2 o'clock. The burglar was surprised by the babysitter coming home and saw the suspect vehicle, which was a kind of a beat-up Dodge truck, gray, blocking her driveway. So she asked the guy to move the vehicle, went up there into the driveway, and noticed that the dogs were in the backyard. The back door was open. So she started to go into the house. That's when the other younger suspect ran out the front door, come to the vehicle, and go off. So you know, keep your eyes peeled. Any questions on the officer report? So the titles like the traffic hazard, problem, direct, relationship, those are kind of the terms that they use across. Traffic hazard, traffic problem, traffic direction, traffic related, so they don't have so many different types of.
On the break-in, well, first of all, on this report,
Yes,
there's paragraphs that we put in our cases in the Montana. Were there no case paragraphs provided with this one?
no, this is just a call for service analysis,
Okay.
so that you guys know how much activity we had in your geographical boundary. Now, if an officer were to actually see a violation on Lockway, and they make a stop over there on the rep store, it's not going to be reported on this, because from the geo, it actually, the call started in Sebring. Okay? So this is just stuff that happens in the city. Yes?
The other two burglaries that are listed here, were those vehicle?
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lie to you. Most of the time, it's usually, I think the burglary, usually they list that as resident. It could be apartments too. So I have to go back into the field. This is just the calls for service that we came last month.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
what does suspicious circuit person vehicle mean?
That's one of those combined phrases to keep the number of categories limited. It's either a suspicious circumstance, a suspicious person, or a suspicious vehicle. But they lump them in the same thing.
Back on the case on Westchester Road.
Yes, sir.
Was that an official break-in, or was there?
No, they-
was it locked, or?
Well, any type of force you use to enter a residence, that's a forced entry. So whether the door's unlocked, the force to turn the handle makes it a burglary with force. So I'm not so sure, I didn't make the scene, so I don't know if they kicked the door in or if they simply left it unlocked and the guy was trying the doors and found one that was open. I know they didn't get anything because the babysitter was right. So, but it's still scary. Yeah. Any other? Yes.
I have a question. I was told by one of our residents that you had advised him that we are no longer going to allow non-electric vehicles on the street that are golf cart or that kind of cart size.
Well, here's the deal.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Let's do it.
Yeah, here's the deal. The state of Texas actually dictates to us, being citizens of the state, what type of vehicles we can actually use on the public roads and what we can't. And right now, the state allows us to use golf carts, which are electric. And I understand, I've never seen one myself, but someone has told me that there's actually gas-powered some, but most of the time for the golf course, they usually have electric because they're quiet. You can also use, according to the state, a neighborhood electric vehicle. They look funky. I mean, I wouldn't own one, but the problem that we're having though is the state of Texas, recreational off-road vehicles and like ATVs, they're actually prohibited from being on the public street. What was that other one, Jim? I sent Jeff, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to get the information out to people so that they don't make a bad investment just right around here and they can't use it. You know, they gotta buy, 20 acres up in Liberty or something. So we're working on an article, and with some links. If you go to the DPS website, they have it on there. You can click on the discussion of the approved vehicles other than regular cars to use in your neighborhood and all the requirements thereof. Okay? So that we drew that straight from the website. So we'll list the links, and that way people can go there and has pictures of different types of vehicles.
So question, could we pass, if we can pass a city ordinance to allow those, or is it just the state law overrides all of it and they're allowed?
In a master plan community, golf courses are allowed, golf carts are allowed. If it's so many miles away or within so many miles from the golf course itself. And I believe in order for the residents of El Lago, you have to pass an ordinance allowing golf carts underneath the state rules, required equipment, driver's license, insurance, and headlights and tail lights. And it's my understanding, I think we passed one, didn't we, Mayor White? Yeah. So we can, I think the city passed one to allow us to. So, any other questions?
I'm sorry, I got confused in all that. So we have done them for golf carts, but does that mean we can also pass one for the ATVs?
No,
And
it's
it's not
strictly,
eligible?
yeah, it's strictly prohibited by the state.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When the construction on 146 really gets underway.
Yes. We're
most
moving.
likely we're gonna have some new
Oh,
traffic.
it's bad. It's going to be bad.
Is there any communication?
Right now, the two mayors that I work for had the Harris County, the head guy for the road maintenance, and we had the city of Pasadena in there, the traffic signal division guy. And because we know this is going to be a headache for everybody, because I think they're talking about displacement of 12,000 cars a day. Now, they're either going to bail on Repstor, which is really going to be bad for the Lock Lake entrance, or they're going to run down Old Kirby and Kirby. I mean, if you've been on Kirby now at 6 o'clock in the morning, oh my God. It's like a racetrack out there, and there is a ton of cars, all the people going up to the plant. So we can only envision it's going to be that much worse once all the construction starts on 146. So we're getting. I think the last time we did this, the Harris County dude said,
Well, basically, what we're waiting on is the contract has to be let. We need the contractor to produce what they call a TCP, traffic control plan, based on how the contractor is going to mobilize and what sections they're going to do first. They're going to propose how trucks and traffic are going to be managed. And so, until we actually get that document, we just really don't know what they're going to do. Now, they have us phased into that, but, recognize the conflict there is that the county has roads, and our solution at the local level is to put stop signs up and slow things down. The county doesn't put roads in to stop people and slow them down. They want to move them around quickly. So we have this, awkward time to go through, but it all depends on the TCP, and that depends on the contract being let. So we're all waiting.
but we're in touch with them so that whenever it is lit, then we'll have another meeting. And the constable was also in the meeting, so we'll have extra traffic control and enforcement, just so these crazy people won't tear up the street.
Well, I'm almost sure that there'll be people figure out that you can exit Crestor, go around through Confederate Way
Right.
and back out on.
So I'll get with Phil, and if that seems to be what they're doing, we'll station a few units down their route to get out back onto National Road 1. And then we'll make it unpleasant for them to come through with citations. So that's what we're doing.
And that's what the county says. They say, if you want to slow things down, then it's law enforcement. Which makes a burden on law enforcement. So, that's right.
Yes, Jim?
Last year, we voted to buy 2 of the electronic speed control signs.
Yes.
One has been installed on Lakeshore, Lake Bluff Junction.
Right.
Where's the other one?
I have no clue. I don't have, it's the 2 cities that have.
Well, no, we voted on 2.
Right. And it was my understanding y'all bought 2. I don't know where the second one is. But it was planned for it to go on Lago, to slow the people that are coming off of Rexor. And then we're going to hopefully continue to do that on all of our streets that have the main arteries too. So to de-velocitize people. Let them know.
The reason it's non-visible.
Well, I don't know where it's at.
We have it. We have it.
We do? Oh, good.
Chief Savage,
Yeah.
does the city not have an ATV vehicle that they use?
It's my understanding they use it in the park.
So they're not riding it on the road?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, city woods.
Well, I think there are certain, and if you read in the part, there are exceptions. Law enforcement officer, there was like a list of 4 or 5, I can't recall offhand, is city personnel is one of those. But I'm sure Jack. So Jack.
Piggybacking off the resident's question about the 146 construction traffic through the city, with that in mind, that you do anticipate more people getting in, how do you think that will impact your staffing plan?
Well, probably a large part of the dedication will be during those high traffic hours, which kind of coincide with our school zone. So, it might be up there, up there, 2 days out here, up there. It just depends on how it progresses. I don't know, they come back to the 2 cities and go, we need another officer.
That's where I'm going. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll take a wait and see. Anybody else? All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank y'all. See you. Have another pet.
Okay, item number 8, status report of the events committee. Just a quick update there, Ms. Vernon, you want to say anything more? Give us the dates. How was the Easter egg hunt?
Well, we are all set to go for this coming Saturday, so we invite everybody out, bring the kids, and start at 10 a.m. at Whitting Park. And don't forget, we'll have an egg covering contest as well. It does have to include a real life egg, not a plastic one, but bring that to be judged by our judges. And then our city celebration again is scheduled for April 21st from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. Hope you'll join us.
Thank you. And Mr. Tate, the Parks Board?
Next Parks Board meeting is March 28th. This is the last status. Councilperson Vernon and I and the mayor met with Dennis Paul to discuss potential site locations for the bathrooms in McNair Park. And I think we came up with one location, and then we possibly want to go back and look at the alternate location, which is out of the pedestrian pathway of Key Pleasant Park. So I think we just need to settle on that. And I'll let Councilperson Vernon speak about the status of the county's efforts.
Thank you for that. I did just want to mention, just to let everybody know, that the monies for this endeavor of the bathrooms has been approved through the county court, so you can thank Jack Mormon for that. He's been very generous to us. So they have basically designed a footprint for the building, and they are in the bid process right now. So while we decide on the site, they're getting the bids in, and they expect this to go into production right away. When they bring it in, it will be brought in and set down, ready to go. So that's wonderful. You really won't have a lot of construction going on here.
Did you get further clarification from Kyle on the survey?
Not yet, no.
Okay. All right, thank you. Save some of my comments for later in the agenda because we're going to cover some of these issues. So nothing on the consent agenda. Item 11.1, discussion, action to approve the minutes from the council meeting of February 21st, 2018, and such minutes are attached.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion from Mr. Tate to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Kelly. Discussion. All in favor? Item 11.2, discussion, action to approve the minutes from the council meeting of March 7th, 2018, which are also attached. Ms. Vernon. Second from Mr. Tate. Discussion. All in favor? Mark it unanimous. Item 11.3, discussion action to approve the minutes from the special council meeting of March 21st, 2018, also attached. Oh, the wrong date. Uh-oh, got dyslexia there. It's actually March 12th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Mr. Tate.
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Kelly. Discussion. All in favor? All right. He was in London?
I'll abstain.
All right. So would you mark this Mayor Pro Tem abstaining? He was absent for Mr. Howard. All right. Item 12, old business. And for those who attended the budget meeting and stuck around, we discussed some basic accounting system updates and maybe changing the way that we moved to account for certain line items to, I guess what's called moving. In accounting vernacular would be managing by class. I don't expect it to mean a lot to a lot of you. However, Mr. Skelton and I exchanged some emails, and I wanted to communicate those to you, and that we felt that we might be able to gain some of the things that we were looking to do, which is to, the really small items that were going to be difficult to manage, or we would always be paying the budget. Numbers that we sit down with the accountant and talk to them about just taking a look at our chart of accounts again to see if we couldn't get there, or at least part of the way there. It didn't appear that accounting by class was going to do that. Additionally, we asked Stephanie to give us the resource of a couple of attorneys local that she was familiar with, and she's given us a few names, and we're going to set up some interviews with them to have a more legal accounting focused relationship as we make those changes. We get some legal input. So since we didn't have a budget meeting this week, I felt like we should put that discussion on there, and you're welcome to talk to myself and Mayor Pro Tem about those. John, do you have any comments on that?
No, other than that, just to say that, managed by class and to council, and also the ledger of accounts, I know that term has gone out there quite a bit too, so it's all up in the air right now. And I do think that we need to make sure that we stay within our legal priorities as far as, as we all know from our workshop, we all have a difference of opinion on that, so that's it.
Okay, all right. Anybody have any discussions about that?
Well, the only thing, I guess, if we give them some guidance, as far as that dollar bucket size, give them some guidance on that based on the size of our budget might be helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm really more along the lines of, let's try to, and I think that relationship with the attorney and so forth is also targeted at looking at other cities that are our size, how they can use that, as opposed to forging our own way, see how effective it is for them. And so that's part of that process. Okay, moving on, item 13, 13.1, financial packet. Discussion, action to approve the check detail which is attached.
So I have questions on item 9854, which is our legal fees for January, $4,700. Can you give some guidance as far as, that says, based on our budget, it's sort of a larger number. Was that driven by an employee request activity, or can you give some insight into that?
We'll have to pull the bill.
The FOIA request was made in February, so that couldn't be it, Mayor.
Please. Okay. We have to pull the bill, see the detail. So the question is, do you want to approve the check and pull the bill for further discussion?
Yeah, we don't have any insight as far as now, it just seems larger than numbers are for the whole. And then my second question is on item 9868, computer extension system, the 461, get insight into the cost for that.
Which one, sorry?
I'm sorry, 9868, computer extension system, that's a service coordinator for so just what constitute that number, excuse me? You know, that's printing, postage.
That's everything, that's printing and postage.
Okay, I'll have to pull that one. That's all I have. Actually, I did have a question as far as the credit card. Everything just looked like Amazon. I don't know if we have any more detail other than just Amazon purchases. I mean, there was nothing huge. Just at the beginning.
It's all maintenance supplies. Everything's a lot cheaper on Amazon, and we can take advantage of tax-free and free shipping.
We're good?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
what does it mean when we pull something? We've never pulled anything before, I'm just wondering what it means.
Well, I'm thinking that what Mr. Chase is asking, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, is that someone can make a motion to approve the check detail.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting to a point of order, are we making a motion, what are we doing?
I agree with you.
So what I would do, if once we're all done, is I would make the motion to approve all checks except for those two at this time.
Okay, but what does that mean?
Well,
Because this has already been spent, so are you saying this moves off into a further explanation and comes back before council?
correct.
Okay.
For the next meeting.
Okay. All right.
So is that a motion or?
Yes, that's a motion.
Okay, well, let's make sure we state it correctly. You want to go ahead and restate it?
Sure, I'll make the motion to approve the check detail, except for the two checks previously noted, which were 9868 was the last one, and the first one was 9854.
Okay. So motion from Mr. Che to approve the check detail with the exception of 9868 and 9854, which checks would be pulled and put on the next council agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second for Ms. Vernon. Okay, further discussion?
Yeah, I got some further discussion. I find it unacceptable that we can't talk about what these checks are in this meeting right now. Why is that? I don't accept pulling anything. Why can't we talk about what these are? This is money that's already been spent. I want to know why we can't talk about it right now. If we've already spent it, we should know what we spent on it.
Yeah, we just don't have the detail. So you're saying that you don't want to approve this check without having the bill. Now, we can still pay the check and we can pull the bill up and discuss it later. I mean, there's any discussion of any particular.
No, well, I mean, if we,
detail.
yeah, I guess my point is that we can't explain what went into that, then I would prefer to hold it off. If we can't, now if we have the justification, we can proceed. I'm just waiting to hear the justification.
Okay, Ms. Vernon?
Well, I was just going to say that we usually do have a computer in the meeting. I thought that we can reference these things because it's online, right?
It is.
Okay, so could we pull that and look at that, or could you pull the checks quickly? It should be right there.
Okay. I'm going to pass the bill around.
Or have somebody read it all?
This is a procedural thing, is what I'm talking about.
I agree.
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to hold the staff or anybody, but it was the expectation, I thought, that when we brought these forward, we'd be able to discuss them at this meeting. Is that not the case? That's what I'm asking.
You can discuss anything you like.
Yeah. So on legal fees right there, I mean, what was the activity that drove those legal fees up right there? And then on the other one, I didn't hear councilperson say why he wanted to pull the 461 on that, other than he wanted to talk about more details of what went behind that as well.
Correct.
So, but like I said, this is money that's already been spent. We should know why it was spent already. Right? Okay. So if we need to wait this one time, but I'm just kind of letting everybody know that I don't find it acceptable that we can't talk about this when we bring these forward for approval. That's what approval means. We know everything we need to know is approve, right? Obviously, we do not. So I'm not in favor of, I'm not arguing with you, Jeff. I'm just saying is that I don't think that we should get into a habit of not being able to explain these officially to the meeting. That's what I'm getting at. Okay? All right, I'll shut up.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to pull these two, to approve the check detail as written, with the exception of these two checks, which will be pulled and put on the next agenda. And I believe we have a second.
Yes, sir, and I also have a little more discussion.
Okay, discussion.
So I kept raising my hand, but
I'm sorry.
I
I was
just,
doing this.
yeah, I really quickly just wanted to ask about, there was a check that we wrote to Kingdom Security. I assume it's to work with our security system. And there was also a late fee attached to that, which I see no reason that we have any late fees anymore, but what was Kingdom Security for? It was only $77.
This is an old bill that came across the desk back in June. We kept asking them for clarification. It was based on a face-to-face meeting between the city clerk and a representative from the company on how to fix an issue in the fitness center. So we kept fighting the bill, so ultimately we brought it to council to say, do we want to go ahead and pay it so we don't get a bill from them every week?
I guess if we had the consultation, I wonder if we were aware there was going to be a
No,
charge for that consultation.
We were under the impression that it was going to be charged, and then the bill showed up.
Okay, that's different. I would not advise paying that, then, if they did not make us aware that there would be a fee in place for that. My other question I had was on the refund of a event room deposit of $500, which seemed really extreme, especially since we had changed our policies regarding the deposits and such.
That is our current deposit.
500 is?
It is.
I'd like to amend my motion and pull check 9874 from approval. Because if we're getting charged for something we shouldn't get charged for, we're fighting, we should be paying it.
I would second that motion.
So is there a second for this amended motion?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Double check. Okay, so now, the motion as amended is to approve the check detail with the exception of 9874, 9868, and 9854, which we pulled and not signed, and put on the next council agenda with the detail for discussion.
Point of order, you have to approve the amendment first.
He amended the motion, Jack. He changed the original motion. Only,
Because he includes the original.
if I may, only the guy whose motion it is to do that.
I'll follow you.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
otherwise it's already spot on.
Okay, discussion on that amended motion. Right, all in favor? Council, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Stephen Kniss, who's a new resident here. Stephen, still here? There he is. Mr. Kniss approached me about joining the Board of Adjustments, and you have his brief vitae here, and he was with Friendswood on the Board of Appeals from 2010 to 2018. He's living here now, close to his granddaughters, and it's my pleasure to appoint him to our open seat on the Board of Adjustments. So,
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, point of order. I believe it takes a resolution to make an appointment.
for the Board of Adjustments.
I believe so. Is that correct, Mr. Perkins?
I think we've done it both ways in the past. You probably know better than I do.
I thought the appointments were done by resolution and approved by council and signed by mayor.
Well, Mr. Kniss, I'm going to pull a resolution together for you. You got to come another night if you don't mind. Or I can do it at a meeting of the adjustments too. So we'll do it as we discussed. Thank you very much.
Mr. Rick,
Yes, go ahead.
can I just ask a question about, to Mr. Kniss?
Yes, please. Mr. Kniss, can you visit with council for a second? The Mayor Pro Tem has a couple of questions.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Board of Appeals that you did in the Board of Adjustment? The Board of Adjustment has got to know our ordinances here pretty well, and so it's a pretty big commitment, and I just wanted to make sure that you understand that before you get into this.
Three different names for the same board. And yes, I served on the Friendswood board for 6 to 7 years, I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
They met typically when there was a dispute between an owner and the city building inspector.
Okay.
So it's essentially the same thing.
Okay.
I am familiar with legalese, if you would. Flows from that. And in fact, when I worked at Dow Chemical, I worked in their environmental department where I was responsible for interpreting regulations.
Okay, the Board of Appeals is kind of a thing where you're going to be be asked to interpret an ordinance sometime, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands what that is. So, sounds like you've done it before, so I'm good. I just wanted to ask.
Been done it for a long time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, and I apologize for the confusion on that matter, Mr. Kniss, and so we get a resolution drafted, I'll call you. All right, 13.3, discussion of the appointment of a public works manager. And so, council, I've been working on flooding matters with Mr. Brown Kosar, and we've been looking at this, and I did approach him about potentially filling the position of city engineer. And as we explored that description, you know, really, public works is our main problem in the city. And so I want to bring to the table the discussion of either creating another type of position, which is public works manager. I'm hoping that he will take that position, or just changing what we have as city engineer right now. I mean, the city is fairly well built out, and it appears that the city engineer position is really kind of drafted during the Taylor Crest era construction era. And our issues today are generally infrastructure related, as opposed to new construction related. And so I want to bring that for discussion. And Mr. Kosar was kind enough to send over a generic public works manager job description and duties, which I hope you've had a chance to review in the packet.
Mayor, I have a question.
This is right.
Would this be a paid staff position, or is this like our city engineer, city treasurer, et cetera, more of a volunteer position with a very small honorarium?
The latter, small stipend, possibly, honorarium, volunteer.
So that being the case, we would need a resolution to appoint someone to that position?
Yes.
Okay. And then if, I've known Mr. Kosar from attending the water district meetings, seems like a standard guy. I guess I'd love to see just a resume or something like that. We're going to pursue down the road with that.
I think the first step would be make a decision.
Sure.
Do we eliminate the city engineer position and replace it, or do we add a public works manager position and leave city engineer position alone?
I'm really glad that the city attorney's here, because I thought a lot of these were defined by ordinance. And Val, I guess I'm going to lean on you a little bit. If it's defined by ordinance, we're going to change the ordinance. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually just wrote myself a note while you were talking. We not only need to check the ordinance, also need to check state law to be sure that we can have a public works manager. I'm pretty sure we can, but I want to be sure we can. And I actually don't recall if we have it contained in chapter 1 of our code of ordinances or not, but you're right, it would take, it needs to be in the ordinance, it's not in that.
So, Mr. Mayor, I mean, honestly, change ordinances is really hard. So I would, if it's just a logistics thing, I guess from a discussion standpoint, whether it's a public works manager or a city engineer, if one's defined by ordinance, it seems to behoove us to stay within the ordinance for that. I'll go to the city attorney for a recommendation on that.
As I say, there are certain, it says city engineer in the ordinance. I don't know if our public works listed as well. If we don't, we have to change the ordinance.
I've just never heard of a public works and having gone over our ordinances 10, 12, 15,000 times. I don't remember a public works deal. And I'm all for it, but then you know the extra who's got to jump in to change the ordinance.
I understand, and I think and I don't have it in front of me, and I should, but I think our city engineer requires a PE, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to ask, but both of them.
It can be a stumbling block, for what we're attempting to do is to get some highly qualified engineering professionals who don't have a PE to fill this public works manager position. And it's really skewed in that direction, so.
Well, then I'm not saying don't change the ordinance, I just want to make sure we cover that step.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't I review the ordinance with the city attorney? Is there any real objection to taking that direction in this position?
I guess all I would want to say is this, that, thank you for providing this for us, for everyone. But it seems pretty extensive to be a nominally paid position, I guess, if he's going to oversee contracts in the city, streets and sidewalk, and, you know, that kind of thing, bid specifications. It's a pretty tall job description.
All job description.
Maybe next time we can work on that here.
Maybe we could work on the description as we bring the ordinance forward. Okay. Item 13.4, discussion action to approve Chris Hoffman to use the tennis courts for summer tennis camps.
Hello, just want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to me. If you don't know me, I'm the tennis coach around here. If you're looking for tennis lessons, come find me. Just wanted to ask you guys for approval to do the camp one more time this year. We've had a lot of success in the past, and I think it's been a mutual positive thing for both the city and myself and our organization. So just looking for approval again. If you don't know what camp is, it's a camp that introduces kids to sports age 5 to 12. We introduce them to a variety of different things from flag football to soccer to tennis, baseball, and a variety of different sporting games and different things. So it's a lot of fun, and I think the kids really enjoy it.
I guess the question I have from our past conversations, you do contracts with other organizations, but you've not ever done a contract with Lago.
Correct.
But you're not opposed to reading the
That's
contract? I have no problems, I just like it down on paper.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So Jeff, what are you asking him to do?
I mean, I'm fine with approving it notionally with the intent to get a contract on paper.
That works.
Mr. Hoffman, would you be willing to come back with a contract that we can be, I'm kind of with the council,
Yeah, that's
with
perfect.
Jeff here. I'm used to you coming up here and asking for the event room to run the summer camp up here. Now you're just asking for this, and maybe we don't have a variance form for that. But, you know, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, that'd be really
I don't
fine.
think you're going to find any opposition. It's just something that kind of lays out what we're doing. And I kind of remember it. But-
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, would you guys want me to come up with something as part of the contract, or do you have something that you guys usually use?
I think we could probably come up with something for you.
Okay, sounds great.
Maybe you could provide us with your terms and conditions too.
Okay.
Right.
That sounds great. If you guys don't mind, I guess I can meet with Will and pass that out.
Yeah.
Good with that? Good with
Yeah,
that?
that sounds great.
Then I move we postpone that. I move we postpone this agenda item until such time we have that contract in hand and we put it on the next appropriate city council agenda for approval at that point in time.
All right, well, motion to postpone, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Ms. Vernon. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, discussion action to approve the parking variance for Ms. Ann Vasquez at 1310 Velcro, which is attached. Ms. Vasquez here.
I did drop by the residence center and ran into her husband, Joe. I think their need for a variance has gone away, so they probably won't be here. Implied there may be a need down the road, so I'm just giving you the heads up.
Okay, well, she's not here,
Yeah.
and I think you've had that communication.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we postpone this item until the citizen comes forward with their need.
Motion to postpone. Second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Tate. Discussion? All in favor? All right, item 13.6, discussion of training for the floodplain administrator. Right. Grigsby, can you comment on this?
The FEMA sanctioned course for floodplain management is actually a residence course in Maryland. There are opportunities though, I think we missed the deadline for the May course, but there are opportunities for the state to pay for it, so we wouldn't have to come out of pocket.
Are you saying that the only place to get training is in Maryland?
The FEMA specific floodplain management course, the basic level is Maryland.
They were holding one down in Galveston. I know that that's the one that our previous floodplain administrator would attend.
I can look into that.
Yeah, I don't-
If it's a
yeah.
state- If it's a state-sponsored course.
Okay. All right, well, we need to look for a vote. So, can I get a motion to postpone that until we pass your vote ordinance?
Let's see, listen on that.
Okay, good. All right, well, we'll look for something more local and with a time frame in the budget. All right, discussion of the training for code officers. Okay, we had talked in the past about training one officer for code 1 and code 2. That fee is a little under $500 plus travel and per diem. And we're proposing to try and get that on, to coordinate with the chief and move that probably within the next 60 days to an agenda item. And so council, we're going to have to find I just want to bring this back up for discussion because the long-term plan was to have both the chief and one police officer trained in code 1 and code 2. So this item is open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Vernon?
I am noting on here that the next training here in Houston for the Code 1, for the initial, is going to be April 30th to May the 4th, so we need to move on this rather quickly to get him into that class to save us on the travel expenses. Looks like Code 2, he will have to travel somewhere not too far. San Antonio.
Mr. Mayor, two things on this. Since we're going to be, since I assume we don't have budget lines specifically for this, I don't remember if we do. Are you guys going to be is the city hall going to be making a recommendation about what lines we'll modify in order to do this as part of a motion, or are you looking for the council to decide that?
I'm looking for the council to decide that. And, I mean, we could take it from surplus today and code it later, but it's something that we've been pushing off since the beginning of the year and trying to get it back up on.
Okay, I would find it helpful if a council person or a city staff would just make a recommendation. We can always go in and change that if we don't like it. I don't know, that's my opinion. I don't know, it's hard to get 5 people to agree on anything. So, it's usually better to shoot from something we can go from. But I would like to make sure that when we bring this forward, kind of to Ann's point, is that we don't got a lot of time on this. I think it's $500. I'm not saying it's going to be hard, it's just that where do you want to pay it from?
We got the,
Surplus is fine.
yeah, the 12K of unallocated
Yeah.
surplus right now, that covers their volunteer party.
I just think we ought to have that so we can make this as streamlined as possible.
Okay, well then, I'll tell you what we're going to do is I'll visit with the chief and with the officer. We'll try to clear that date, we'll put it on the next agenda, and just expect that to be coming. If you have any questions about it, you can certainly contact me later. But we'll have a person and a proposed place and training schedule. So,
I did have one other question about this code officer. I know that you have an succession plan ultimately with the chief, but for now, mean, are we talking about the chief, or are we talking about a different code officer? In which case, is there any kind of an agreement that he will reimburse us for this class if he doesn't stick around for X number of years, or?
I had a discussion with the chief. This is an officer who's been here for a long time. I'm going to say exactly who it is in this meeting. I can bring him along with that. He didn't feel that that was that particularly was an issue. If that is going to be an issue, then we'd have to negotiate that as a sidebar with him. I'm personally not a fan of those issues. Trying to tell somebody that they've been an officer here for several years, that if we send them some kind of training, that if they leave, they got to pay us back for the training. But that's what the council feels is a policy that we have, we need to get it as a policy.
I just know that we've had quite a turnover in our police department over the last number of years. And just, we've lost a lot of good training, dollars and hours in our officers who have gone off to Seabrook and other local cities. We just hate to keep losing that.
Well, so we'll bring the recommendation to the next council meeting. We'll visit with the officer, we'll have him here, and you can ask questions.
Okay.
Okay, item 13.8, discussion approval for communication from City Council concerning the letter mailed to citizens by Mayor Briggs on or about the week of March 5th. I'm going to ask the city attorney to come to the podium, even though we have a bad. Okay, so the way that we're going to proceed with this is we're going to go through it with the city attorney, and then each council person will have a chance to speak with the attorney about their issues or in a one-on-one discussion, and then we'll have discussion as council. So,
If I can just say, as an introduction, I just handed you this, state law for sets out to do so here. That's straight to the statute, a copy of this afternoon. In a nutshell, the mayor is the chief executive officer of the city, and he is charged with enforcing and ensuring that the policies of the city are carried out. Policies of the city, of course, are determined by the city council, the ordinances and resolutions that they vote on, and the mayor then is charged with ensuring that those are disseminated and known and enforced. When the council, one of the mayor's other duties is to sign ordinances and resolutions that the council passes. The procedure is not, we never had this situation in Lago. The procedure is that the council passes an ordinance resolution, the mayor's got 3 days to sign it. If he doesn't sign it, it becomes law unless he vetoes it. If he vetoes it, then it goes over to the next agenda of the council meeting, and council can consider it again. But otherwise, it becomes law if it's not signed after 2 days. That's kind of just a general introduction to the duties of the mayor, and all those questions that have been asked of me anyway in the last few days, and I'm happy to respond to questions on that.
okay, Val, I'm just going to work through each one of these. So, this first item here, with respect to official and approved communication, if it comes from the mayor, it's official and approved. Yes or no?
Well, if you're talking about the letter that was mailed out,
Yes.
that's an official letter from the mayor of the representative who is the chief executive officer of the city. It doesn't have to be approved by city council. It has to be consistent with city council's actions, but it doesn't have to be approved by them. The way I read the letter that the mayor sent out several weeks ago, or last week, whatever it was, is that it states the policy of the city in this regard, which is that the city's continuing its contract with Cedar Law Department, and that the mayor was the main committee to study the issue. So to me, it was consistent with the policies of the city council, not to make a postponed consideration of the contract.
All right. Okay, so this next stanza or paragraph says that Mayor Briggs expressed personal opinions and made statements that were viewed as inappropriate and offensive to many individuals and potentially damaging to professional relationships in the city. And I think I really don't, I have to kind of even remind the council that There are no personal opinions. It's got the mayor's signature on it. It's yours. When you take your office, you no longer have personal opinions. If you're a councilman, you're representing council. If you're a mayor, you're a mayor.
Well, that's true enough. If you're the mayor and you're the executive officer of the city, I don't know that it's up to me to determine whether something is appropriate or inappropriate. I don't think there's anything in the letter that's violated the labor laws that I'm aware of. But as to other issues about that, that's up to the people. In this case, city council.
Okay. Or some members of the city council. All right, so in item number 1, I see here that there was concern that I left some people out in the thank you portions of it. I feel like my articles in the Lago and some other areas thanked lots of people, and if I left someone out, so there's a lot of people to thank, and that certainly is worthy of a public. Okay, item 2. Now this is where I want to give a moment to just give a short sermon. I promise it's very short. When you elect me to be the mayor, you elect me to do what is important for the city. And there's important and there's urgent. And there's important and urgent. So, I just tell you how I go about managing my day. There's probably 10% of the population that thinks I'm a pretty good mayor and I'm a great guy. And there's 10% of the population that thinks I'm the worst mayor that Lago ever had. And then there's this big bell curve of people in the middle. That's 80% of the population. Most of them don't come to this meeting. I meet them all kinds of places. They call me on the phone, they talk to me. And that's generally who I think of. Now, with respect to Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department, we would have never touched that contract if the mayor of Seabrook hadn't called me and told me he was hiring a fire chief and they were going to raise our rates. It's the only thing that brought that contract to the forefront. The council decided to postpone. Great, we're going to study it. We have an evergreen contract with Seabrook. We can keep this contract for 10 years while we study it if we want. It's simply not urgent. It's important, but it's not urgent. Now, HMGP grants, $1 billion worth of funding for flooding. We've been to Austin today and back. And GWDB FEMA grants. There's $1 billion in funding to fix our infrastructure, and the governor wants it out the door. And the NOI has to be filled out by August. And then the grant process starts. Urgent and important. So, fire department contract, which is just fine like it is, and we can keep the same contract for another 10 years while we study it, goes to here. I believe that 80% of the citizens out there are just fine with that while we work on infrastructure. Now, if we need $30 million worth of upgrades in our city, the water department is not going to go get that money. And if you believe that they are, well, I probably would disagree with you. The grant people haven't talked to them, and those grants have to come through the city. So, in my world, I get up in the morning and I say, how do we get $20, $30 million for this city and fix the flooding? And that's what I spend my time on. I just don't worry about the Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department contract. It's just not important to worry about. So, that's my context.
Sir, what does that have to do with what we're voting?
Just a moment, please. I'm going to let the interject.
Thank you.
Next door survey, I have no comment on that one, Val. I don't even know what the next one means. All right, see, it looks like someone asking citizens to disregard prior communication. I don't think that's even legal. And then finally, I see that the author of this document has listed every council member. So I find that a little odd, since I've talked to council members who've never even seen it, and now it's on the internet. So anyway, I'd like to go down the line and let each council person have their discussion with the city attorney on this document. Ms. Moran, you can go first. I believe you're the author, aren't you?
I'm one of the authors.
All right.
So I guess, and I didn't realize we were going to have a question and answer session with you personally, or I would have had my other notes with me. You know the questions I asked you on the phone the other day. Is there anything in place currently, or anything that we can put into place that would prohibit the mayor from communicating with the residents in a fashion that we don't deem to be appropriate?
I have not looked at that. I'm concerned not only about the ability of council to do that under state law, but also under First Amendment issues wise. There's a lot of case law out there about first elected officials and First Amendment rights. And I would look at that very closely before I gave you the recommendation. It would concern me that there may be First Amendment issues involved, as well as state law issues.
Okay, so just to clarify what you're saying, and I understand you want to look at this, but is there anything that would prohibit the mayor, and I understand him as an individual on his own stationery, mailing out from his own home at his own expense, I completely understand his First Amendment rights, but is there any way to stop him from communicating on behalf of the city without the council being able to in some way control to make sure it represents the city? I think when we talked on the phone, I had brought up to you a specific phrase that was used in that letter. And it says, if the city's official position, and I think you and I both agreed that the city's official position is the voting record of the council. That is the city's official position. So opinions and comments about potential candidates and other matters that the council hasn't voted on then would not be considered the city's official opinion.
That's right, and I think the way I read the letter is, the letter states that the official position of the city is to continue to fund the contract with the Seagull Volunteer Fire Department, and I think that is consistent with the city council's actions.
Right, and that's really not the only thing I'm talking about here. I'm going a little further down in the letter where he starts talking about the whole ridiculous next door issue and the candidate specifically that was named, which is fairly inappropriate. I believe you're not allowed to electioneer inside city offices, and so it would not seem appropriate to me, especially if the council has not. Help me understand, because I'm ignorant about this. Can we as individual council members go, oh, I love this guy, or oh, I don't like that guy, on behalf of the city, I'm City Council Position 5, and I endorse him?
There's nothing that prevents you from endorsing a candidate for office, but I don't disagree with you that it is, I don't know if it's appropriate for the mayor or city council to reign on a contested council race. I didn't read the letter that way. I read the letter as stating the official position of the city on the Seagull Volunteer Fire Department, which is consistent with council's actions, and other issues contained in. To me, they don't talk about what the official position of the city is. I don't think that's not the meaning I get.
Finally, we all know it is election season approaching, and I urge you all to be informed of the city's position on matters and not to take secondhand or third-hand representations, especially from political candidates, of which I am one, or social media content or statements on matters of importance. I am happy to meet with citizens individually on these matters and give the city's official position. So I guess I personally found that very offensive, Mayor.
Are you talking to him or me?
at both. So I would like to know if there is something we can put in place for communication going out from the city that is official city business. If we as a council can put some policy in place so that we have some say in that, so that it can't go roughshod. Where we feel like it's maybe stepping out of bounds, naming citizens in a negative light, etc. What they do next door is their business. We're called to a little bit of a higher standard here, I believe, as city officials.
As I said, I don't know that I still don't answer the question whether the council can enact something that would restrain the mayor from sending something out to the city. I would say that whatever the mayor sends out to the city, whatever he advises the city of, in the official position of the city, needs to be consistent with what council's acting on. There's no question about that. And again, as I said, I don't read the letters in contract. There's no question that whatever he says needs to reflect what council's acting on. But over and above that, if you're talking about getting approval before the mayor sends anything out, I'd have to look at that a little more closely than I have.
I'm going to pass on to Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly?
Okay, I was quite surprised to see the mayor's letter, but I was not shocked nor offended. I try to avoid rumor mills like next door. If you want to sell something or have something to give away, next door is a good format for that. It's not a great format for political insult and innuendo, which a couple of people in this room have been guilty of and have since been discredited or disengaged by next door. So I think his comments were most appropriate. What I am offended at is that my name was put on this disgusting document here, which tries to stifle the mayor, which tries to take away his position as the executive of this board from speaking to the people. His job is to speak for the people, is to be the executive officer. And for you to put our names on here without ever asking us, never even coming to us about this, and putting this out, my name wasn't on his letter. Why would you want to put my name on this?
I'm sorry, this was a communication from the city council in general, so I wrote it as from the council. I apologize if we were offended for that.
I wasn't that. I'm very offended.
Did you have a question for the attorney, Mr. Kelly?
Is it not the chief executive's position to speak to issues that are concerning the citizenry?
Yes, and as I say, I think the only caveat to that is it needs to be consistent with council's act line.
And he has been consistent with council's action, which was to retain, continue the evergreen contract with Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mayor Pro Tem.
A couple of things, I guess. One, yes, the names on here, it was my understanding this was a draft document, and so, I can send my name on here. I didn't necessarily say I wouldn't want to do it, but I'm on here. But I guess my question for you, Val, is kind of twofold. Is that the letter surprised me, and I wanted to make sure there was no ethical violation. I'm not familiar with it, particularly not with the fire contract. I tend to agree that was in line with council actions on there. As the second part of the letter, as far as ethics is concerned, I know there's rules around that. I really don't know that piece of it. From what you're telling me, I think that you see this fine, and thank you for this, by the way, which is the deal in here. I understand the powers that be. I do want to kind of go in here when you say act in accordance with the council. So any policy or any rules the council puts in place, the mayor or the chief executive officer is, as per your word, is duty bound to follow it, correct?
That's right. And a good example would be this. If the mayor said in the letter, the official position of the city is that we should have a contract with Pasadena, that would be a violation of the city.
No, I understand that.
So in this case, it's consistent with the city doing it.
So if the council hasn't acted on something and the mayor acts upon it, then you can't be considered in violation
it's not a policy of the city.
Okay. Okay, and then finally, what rules really dictate as far as, I've read some communication policies from other towns around here. It's not so much as stifling a particular thing. It just says, hey, in general, we're going to talk about things this way, or we're going to do this, or we're going to get a response, or we're going to use this tool. That does seem fairly commonplace these days, particularly in terms of social media and things like that. It's not so much as saying you can't do it, it's just saying, hey, in general, these are the guidelines we'd like to follow.
Yes, I've seen those as well, and we certainly do some of those. And lots of cities have been doing that recently, mainly because of social media.
Right.
That's been the interest for a lot of that.
Would you go so far as to recommend that, listening to this, is that the council would be prudent to put forth some type of a policy concerning this kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea this day and age, and mainly because of social media.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Chade.
Again, Val, since you're here, do you see any ethical issues in this letter?
I don't.
Okay. I was not aware of this letter before it came out. I recognize the mayor's right to talk to the citizenry in the mayor's voice. Certainly, he represents council as well. I wouldn't have necessarily sent out a letter like this. However, I think this is within the mayor's right. I think it should be recognized for recognizing the people that did contribute towards the process of removing the outfall at the condos. I was surprised my name was on here. I don't think I really did anything very much. I think there are plenty of people that you could have listed on here, and I don't think this is an attempt to be all-inclusive. We did get a lot of help from tech side. We got a lot of help from the condo association president. But in my mind, you can say they should get kudos, but it was their job, it was their bulkhead that was blocking tech side outfall. And certainly there were numerous residents attending the water district meetings along with myself. And I think to recognize all of them, although there were a few consistent, I think it would be onerous to try and catch everyone. So I thought the first part of the letter was okay. The second part of the letter was an attempt to address concerns that have been raised, some of it whipped up through social media. This was the mayor's right. He felt it was appropriate to name certain people. I don't think there was an attempt to pull out candidates per se, but there were people that were, I would say, putting out information or leaving out information. So if the mayor felt it was appropriate to call that out, I'm not going to challenge him. Again, I wouldn't have done something like this, but that's the mayor's right. So I'll leave the letter alone. As far as the resolution in this letter that appeared in my packet, again, I didn't see it until it came out. Disappointed to see my name on it, because I don't necessarily agree with everything in it. I understand the attempt to put out a draft of communication from the council, and I understand that's why the names were put in there. I don't think it was done maliciously. And I talked with Councilperson Vernon in advance of the meeting, and she meant no malicious intent. So, you know, I think lesson learned for the future. We put out something like this in draft, we leave the names off until something is finalized. And I just want to thank the passion for all us as citizens to try and keep the city, their elected officials, keep them responsible, keep them honest, and keep them trying to reflect their values and opinions. That's all I have to say.
Do you have any questions for the attorney?
No, the big thing was there any ethics violations by putting out this letter?
All right. Thank you. Mr. Mahal.
So Val, you said there are no inconsistencies with the letter and the policies of the city council.
Well, I'm talking specifically about the issue of maintaining the contract with the city of Lago.
So just those two bullets?
Yes.
Just those specific two bullets?
The point I'm trying to make is that if the mayor is going to communicate to the citizenry what the policy of the city is, it needs to be consistent with what the council's done. In this case, I think it is.
Okay. Isn't it, I don't know, maybe it's not unethical, but isn't it a little bit disturbing that he would discourage speaking to candidates in a letter like this from the mayor? Doesn't that just, it strikes a chord with me that seems a little bit heavy-handed. He said, don't talk to political candidates about their opinions.
I don't know that I, in the proper ones, make a determination about whether it's heavy-handed or appropriate. It's not unlawful, as best I can tell. It's not a violation of anything that I've seen in looking at the last few days. I think it's better for you, the council, and the citizens to make a determination as to whether or not it's appropriate or not.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, and Jim and Jeff, your name is on every proclamation that the city produces before you sign it. So your name on here doesn't do anything, right? It's just saying these are potentially the signees, right? So it's not an author. Your name's on everything.
All right. Better hang around. Okay, so now is there a motion?
I don't know what we're approving. Discussion and approval for communication from the city council concerning the letter mailed to citizens from Mayor Briggs on the week of March 5th, 2001. I have a resolution right here. I have no mention of a resolution.
There's no resolution on the agenda.
There's no resolution on the agenda. I don't know what we're approving. I guess it's point of order. Okay.
I can take a motion to table.
Let me describe how that went down. Ms. Vernon and I spoke earlier today, and she had a number of questions for me, which I can try to answer today and tonight. And later in the day, after I had thought about some of the things, I had seen the letter. I just saw the letter today or yesterday, I can't remember which. And what I advised her that I thought was necessary, if she wanted to put the letter forward, to do by resolution. I don't think council can just adopt the letter. So that's
Which letter about?
the letter.
There's so many
The
letters.
draft letter.
Okay.
The draft
All right.
letter that Ms. Vernon worked on.
Okay, but just a second here. The agenda item says concerning the letter mailed to the citizens. So in my opinion, we're bound to talk about the letter mailed to the citizens. From the mayor, not the draft letter, correct? Okay. I'm clarifying.
I just want to explain what's why the resolution came about.
John, sorry to interrupt. John, the way the agenda item is stated is approval for communication from city council concerning the letter.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's not about the letter, it's the council's communication concerning our letter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. All right.
I certainly see a problem with the way this is done in that we would need a potentially proposed letter to go to the residents with the resolution. Is that what you're saying?
There's no resolution on the agenda.
I'm sorry, that was the
There's
question.
no resolution in the attachment.
Once again, my point of order, what are we approving?
Well, I guess let's just discuss. Right?
I'm sorry.
I said we should just discuss this letter then. We have nothing to approve.
You can discuss away who would like to be referenced.
I'll start.
Mr. Mahal. All right.
So I prepared a little written thing here because I wanted to make sure my thoughts were clear. So the subject for discussion is the city council's response letter. In the city council's response to the letter that Mayor Briggs sent via United States Postal Service to the citizens of Lago. In this letter, he selectively thanked certain members of the Lago City Council and other state and local officials for their contributions in clearing the blocked outflow at sea at condominiums, but omitted other individuals who were involved in the removal of blockage. Now, however politically motivated that message may have been, it's the second page of the letter that is the most concerning for me. In the context of the Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department debate, Mayor Briggs accused two citizens, Mr. Clark and Mr. White, of some unidentified infraction on the social media site next door. Alternatively, seeming to take credit for and denied involvement with the removal of Mr. Clark and Mr. White from the next door site. His message added no valuable information to the debate, and instead targeted two citizens and attempted to cast aspersions on the character. It's my opinion that Mr. Mayor Briggs acted inappropriately using the city of Lago resources to publicly admonish Mr. Clark and Mr. White and owes them a public apology. Now, let me just add, I'm not pursuing this action because of anger or any ill will towards the mayor. It is in response to citizen reactions and my own personal experiences and opinions. The final straw for me was when citizens came to me and stated that they disagreed with what the mayor was doing, but were afraid to speak out in fear of retaliation by the mayor. I, for one, do not want to have the government of our city run by intimidation. I want the free flow of ideas. I want open dialogue. I want to hear respectful, dissenting opinions and thoughtful debate. We must stop making city issues personal. I truly love the city and its citizens, including the mayor, but I refuse to allow this type of destructive behavior to continue. Thank you.
Mr. King, do you have a suggestion or comments?
I really don't have anything further to add with regards to the letter that the mayor sent out. The only comment I'd like to add is I just find it just a little odd that a lot of issues being made out of this letter, whereas we had problems in the previous administration that persisted for a couple of years with regards to financial transparency and just a lack of accountability to the citizens. To me, this is a much smaller issue compared to what happened in the past, and just surprising that this generated a draft letter to be potentially pursued by council, and nothing was done in the past. So it just, I don't know, seems to be a little bit at odds, and that's all I have to add.
Thank you, Mr. J. Ms. Friend, do you have any further discussion?
Yes, I do. I'm surprised we're not going down the line, but okay. And I actually have a little statement here because, again, I get nervous. I've encouraged all those who have come to me over the last several months with concerns, and especially most recently this letter, to come and have their say before the council. And now I'm finding it very hard to express myself regarding the mayor's letter. My heart is breaking over the obvious divide that I see growing within our city. The only way to stop all of this and regain the wonderful Mayberry-like atmosphere that we had is to actually provide full-on transparency, not just in the financials, which is easy and has already been done, but in every dealing of city officials and their meetings, and to stop all these political manipulations. And this should all start with an apology, not just to the gentleman named in the discussed letter, but to the entire citizenry for utilizing city resources for such an opinionated and politically charged communication from the city. Regardless of what others have said in social media, I have a higher level of expectation from our mayor. Additionally, I believe the mayor, and not the city, should pay for the resources used to create and mail the letter. I love this town and the people in it, and I truly hope we can bring ourselves to the relationship with each other that we have held on to in the past. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, anything?
I think the letter was quite on target. This used to be a very friendly community. The communications that were going out on next door, they were just exactly as the mayor described. Half-truths, innuendo, insults. So happy to see that that's not there anymore. It's appropriate for the city's executive to stand up to what he perceives as a cancer in the community and address it and point it out. We cannot all just be sheeps, and anyone thinks that the mayor can retaliate against them by coming up here and expressing an opinion is being bullied by darker forces in the community, because anyone can come and say anything. We don't even argue with people. We want to hear what you have to say. So anyone that is saying that they're afraid of retaliation, someone is exaggerating the facts and exaggerating the it is a typical bait and switch type of attack. And I think it's despicable.
Mayor Pro Tem? Once again, I don't know what we're voting on. I don't think we're voting on anything. It's not the letter I would have sent. I don't think it's illegal. I don't particularly like it. I don't think it's illegal. Done. All right, I just have some closing comments before we go to executive session. Since there's not going to be any action here. Out of whatever struggle we're going through, okay? The fire department contract is not at risk. It's not even a subject. There are 4 people on the committee right now. They're probably all pro Seabrook. It's going to take time to go through it. It has been put aside. Now, if you want to live in Mayberry, I never saw the Mayberry flooding episode, okay? Because the flooding door closes on August the 25th. If we don't get our act together, we're not going to get our NOI and our grant application in. We even have a greater struggle because we don't own the assets. The water department owns the assets. And all of those assets, even if the water department wanted to get the grant, they'd still have to go to the city, and they're not going to do it. So we have one window. That's it. Okay? By August the 25th, we either have to have our NOI and be preparing our application, or we're done. So, letters aside, the Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department contract is evergreen and ongoing, and there are no dark forces to try and rid the city of Seabrook Volunteer Fire Department. It does not exist. It is a rumor. So you brought it up for vote. Maybe we get through all of this, we can somehow get on the other side and address our flooding.
Mr. Mayor, to stay legal here, I move 13.8 be postponed indefinitely until such time that I see something clearly that we can vote on at this particular time.
All right, thank you for the motion for 13.8, postpone indefinitely. Is there a second?
I would second that.
A second for Mr. Kelly. Further discussion?
Do we need to have to postpone indefinitely to fine because it has pending the next council meeting?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not bringing it back. Okay, so, all right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Would you mark it unanimous? Thank you. Okay, item 14, executive session. The council now will close executive meeting pursuant to the provision of Chapter 551 Government Code, Florida's Texas Codes, annotated in accordance with the authority contained in, I'm sorry, I have to read this into the record, Section 551.07.4 to deliberate the employment and evaluation of duties of the city staff. So moving on into the conference room. Thank you all. Okay, back in regular session, time now 9:25. All right, item 15, future agenda item requests.
Well, the one that I had raised before, I just don't want it to be lost, and Mr. Clark would do that to remind us that again, is that lessons learned from Harvey? That they want to see whatever pluses and minuses, just to learn for the upcoming season. That was the big thing.
Any others?
Yes, I wanted to place on the agenda what we discussed previously about the double reading of ordinances, contracts, that kind of thing. But it's amending the procedures policy.
You want to potentially go to 2 readings of a contract before council approves. Okay.
Or at least not approved till the second reading, the night of the second reading. I'm not sure how we word that, but we'll
Right.
put that in the policy.
Val, we might need that. Yeah, we might need to Frankenstein that from some other city. You know how these other cities, Pasadena and others, they have 2 readings of a contract?
In terms of, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Before council can approve something, it has to go through 2 readings.
Well, that's, home rule cities have that in their charter. General law states not top requirement.
I see, okay.
Right, it's not required. We were talking about putting it into our rules of procedure that we passed.
Well, then
I would
just,
strongly recommend against doing that. I think it adds too Some, but not all, home rule cities do that because they have it in their charter. But general law cities don't, and I know very few that do that. Like I say, it's your call. But, particularly on zoning issues, you add at least 2 weeks and sometimes a month to what you're doing.
Yeah, you would have at least a month.
Yeah, sometimes, you cancel a meeting.
I think we could be a little less specific.
Yeah,
on this.
home rule cities that do that, they meet every week. So, it's a little bit easier to do.
Maybe we'll talk about it in readings. I kind of tend to agree, it's just, how do we ensure that the council is familiarized themselves with the contracts that are coming up, and is there adequate time for that, I think is what it really boils down to. It's not, and maybe we don't talk about readings, maybe we talk about, we need X amount of time to ensure that we got it.
That's fair. I mean, you're not gonna have stuff until that's done a lot of times, and it doesn't give you more time to look at it. But
Plate is stacked high, and they're gonna be putting grants together. I mean, it's a high plate, so.
Right.
I mean, how about we put it on for discussion?
Can you talk about the grant approval process from within? Is anything going to go to council before it goes out?
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, it's my goal to have the grant people come and meet with us sometime next month. And both, and the strategy piece of that, I'll put on there, since I'll put grant process on here, but I'll give you kind of a Reader's Digest version. So there's 2 grant programs, the Water Development Board grant, that's a FEMA grant. Now, it's all NFIP related, okay? So you got it, all your properties have to have flood insurance to be eligible for it. It's a slower grant. But I think that our strategy there, the city, is really to apply for both. Okay, because if you win them both, you can take the best one and give the other one back. You don't have to take it. Okay? But if you put all your eggs, put everything on red, and you miss, well, so we're really talking about putting together 2 grant vehicles in the hopes of getting one. Now, the one that's probable is the HMGP grant, because it's being driven by the governor, and he wants money on the street.
HMG,
Yes, hazard mitigation grant program.
HGC isn't in this one?
No. It's being done by FEMA and DPS. So that's the basic overall view. My plan is to have them both come and give a presentation to the citizens. So, and you can ask them all those questions. But I'll put it on there as future agenda requests. Anything else? Okay. Now that my fanny's been blistered, we're going to do 9:30, we adjourn.